everyone. Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to Friends of Figma Lahore. I am Muhammad Ali Tariq and I will be moderating this virtual meetup today with Uzair Khan. We will explore the roadmap for entry-level UX designer with Zulkarnain Ansari. Zulkarnain Ansari, he is pioneer in Pakistan user experience and design, having 20 years of experience setting up digital and creative design businesses in global marketplaces, freelance marketplaces, and now he is a CEO and founder of Pakistan's first UX design studio, ExpertsDesk. Warm welcome, Zulkarnain Ansari. So thank you so much, sir. It's a really honor for us to have you here. So over to you, sir.
Thank you very much, Ali, and for this warm welcome, and thank you very much for having me here. Just a bit of corrections, just on not only the freelance marketplaces, but also we have lots of direct clients, which includes Quora.com, which includes Stanford University direct projects, and which includes WHO, United Nations projects. So we are proudly doing over 10,000 projects with directly user experience, research and design projects. So let's start with the presentation. And there's a bit about lots of questions I have that we already heard lots of business aspects of the user experience and the research methodologies, but the root cause or the root roadmap for entry-level UX designers. So how we deal with it. So that was a key question. So I prepared some of my slides. Let me share my screen with you guys.
Okay.
I will start with the introduction part. Sorry, we already have a basic introduction of myself. So I have a multi-dimensional and multi-skill personality. I started as a robotics developer in 1999. And then I have walked through in my career, it was a software development as a primary focus. And I shifted into the design field in 2003 and 4. Different courses from the Stanford University, from Brain Bench, and the different design institutes. And then implemented all of these designs. So here I am providing you guys with the your career roadmap as an UX designer. Whether you are a graphic designer, a UX designer, already in this field, or are you from a different field? First, what is your first step? So I will start my talk with the golden circle, Simon's golden circle for this UX career roadmap, which I think you already knew that the 3 basic questions to understand anything, what it is, why to create it, and how to create it. So number 1 part of what it is, or what is the UX career roadmap. So let's start with the career roadmap. A career roadmap is sets out a clear plan of action for achieving your career goals. So if you do not write this career road plan, it will lead you nowhere. You will come up with the environmental challenges, you will end up with the day-by-day challenges or problems. So you have a very clear roadmap for your careers first. So other than the UX as well. So let's start with the UX career roadmap. We have to understand that where am I now? This is the first question you must have in your mind. The second question is, what do I want to achieve for your future? And the third is, how will I get there? The path which leads you there. So these are the 3 root questions must arise you before starting a career roadmap in UX. So there are different fields, like UX writers, UX researcher, UI designer, interaction designer, service designer, product designer, lead designer, creative director, or director of the department, head of the department. So all of these roles are working with the other departments, how to interact with the other departments. So there are lots of the jobs and job roles that you must understand before jumping into UX field. So let me walk you through with the question by question. Second question was, why this UX career roadmap important? Why it is important? It is important because of your career achievement. You want to achieve something in your career, the UX roadmap will be there. UX career roadmap will be there. And you can understand your achievement, you can mark your achievement, You understand what you have achieved, what you have yet to achieve. The second thing is accountability. You can account it. You can make yourself accountable to yourself. Or if you work with some community, with some peer, with some friend, or with some mentor or expert, you have to make yourself accountable to some extent. So you must have some formulas. And what are those formulas? There is a formula you can say the hypothesis of something with a p-value understanding, and you can get those. I'm not getting into the detail of these elements, but you can make yourself accountable with the help of certain formulas and by seeing your roadmap as a wireframe. I'll show you the wireframe in the later slides. The third part is the designer. So what are the characteristics of a better UX designer? How you achieve to be this better UX designer title, and what are the key elements, how to go to that area or that stages. These are some of the points you have in your mind. The next slide is how to create the UX roadmap. So there's one example I have. There could be multiple ways or multiple processes you can utilize. So I utilize this one. You can plan it based on the urgency, based on the not urgent, based on the important and not important. So if there is something you wrote down that evaluate your present, wherever you are present, what are you doing, set the goals for your future and come up with the action points. These are the three different points that you elaborate for you, how to create your UX roadmap or a career roadmap. You have to make the sticky notes. This exercise, you have to make a sticky note with alone or with someone and see which is urgent and important for you. How to see that, I will tell you in the later slides. What are important but not urgent? What are the urgent but not important to decide with? Those areas which are not important and not urgent, you can simply delete it. So these are the chart, you can plan it. So one by one, I will provide you how to create it with the first point. Evaluate your present. Here and now evaluation. Write down your current job title. What's your current job title? There are lots of job titles. I have different interviews and I ask the person here that what's your current job title? And they say that we are UX designer. So what is the definition of the UX? So they know nothing about the UX. So why this job title? Or if a person is doing the UX role, but they have a title of a graphic designer, it clearly means that job title is mismatched with what they are doing. So start with evaluation your present. What is your current job title? What are your core tasks and responsibilities asked by your organization or your customer if you're doing freelancing or projects or collaboration with a startup or different companies? So what are your core tasks demanded by others? What are the hard and soft skills people ask from yourself? I'll tell the hard and soft skills differentiation in later slides as well. So personal SWOT analysis. Understand what are your strengths, weaknesses, the opportunities and threats in your current job role or whatever you are doing at the moment. And from this activity, you can come up with the 5 main strengths and weaknesses. Which are your 5 main strengths? Which are your 5 weaknesses? So you can better evaluate what you are currently at. Next part is you enjoy doing at work. Which areas you are enjoying at your current role? Wish to do more. There are some areas which person wanted to do more. For instance, some of the designers don't want to do any code. So they don't want the Bootstrap, HTML5, HTML, CSS. However, there are other set of people who wanted to do HTML and CSS as a part of their interaction design. So you don't have to make this. So you have to see that what you wish to do more. If the HTML or CSS you want to do, list it down. If you don't want, well, make it less. So you have to better understand what is coming from your heart in terms of whatever you're doing. Current role valuation. Are you able to understand what is the value of your current role or not? If not, then you have to write it down, make some research, and do this valuation. And when I'm talking about the research, it is not only about the research from the internet and you're doing this research from your desk. You have to meet with the people. User experience is started with the user. It's a human-centered approach. So the human is the main part or main core of this complete research part. So you have to sit with experts, you have to talk with them, you have to sit with your peers and discuss and talk lots and lots about, so you better understand the valuation of it. Especially now we are talking about your control, so valuation of your control. The 5 main work values. What are main work values for you? List down all of these things. This is your self-awareness. You understand or evaluate your present. What are you doing at the moment? The second part is ideal world. I'm sure most of people heard this phrase that what your mind can conceive, you can achieve. This is the future. If you can think about something, you can do it, you can achieve it. So set your goals. There's an ideal world. And you have to list down some of these areas. And why this is important, true UXer means he or she is not going to settle what is currently happening. So this is an important part. That if you understand that whether this field is for you or not, this is a true important part. You're not going to settle with whatever is happening. Second is you have the empathy. So if you have these 2 values, by default you have the tendency to become the UX designer. So draft your ideal work and write down these core values. I would work for myself or a corporation or startup. So pick and choose for yourself. Work, you want to work for full-time or part-time or a project basis. List it down. You can make it a hourly basis or a fixed term basis. Please, you can do that as well. The exercise. Design product for the industry and industries. When I make this plan for myself, 12, 15 years back, so I listed down that I want the design products built for healthcare and education industries. And right now I have lots of great, I achieved the United Nations education and healthcare programs, even Stanford University education programs, Obama University education programs. So whatever you plan it, you will achieve it on the later stages, but you have to achieve step by step. So this is a roadmap you have right now. I would like to be expert in write down the skill, whatever skill you want, process, or some tool or tools. List down here. The tools, if I'm talking about the tools, then some of the tools are research tools, some of the tools are design tools, some of the interaction tools. Write down any tool you want to achieve or to learn. Then what I would like to do, write down your task lists. Whatever you want to do and how to do them, like I mentioned in the previous slide, do the research from internet and also talk with the experts so you can have this understanding that what they are doing, what their daily activities, what they are doing. So you get the task list from there. You understand that which tasks you want to do. Earning, the salary range, you have to clearly define what is the salary range in your mind for the different job roles. Have job role. So what job role you have, it's in the previous slide, with the previous slide. In this slide, you have to write down which job roles you are looking at. What is your ideal job title? Once you do this practice, then you have to make path to research the industries. What are the UX job titles? There are lots of UX job titles you see in the marketplaces. Although some of the job titles will be have a nice and smooth blends, and some have unnecessary blends. For instance, if a UX designer or a researcher can do the research part and the design part, making some sense. But if a UX designer making 3D prototypes and animations and come up with the PHP development, understanding the databases, it makes a nonsense. It's a nonsense approach. So make the UX job titles list, make some research, and find the career paths. What are the career paths which leads to the job? We'll show you this in the next few slides as well. Salaries. Research the industry's salary range. This salary range factor also limited with the culture and demographic values. So if you are understanding that there is some role, having the salary range from this to this, some different culture, different area, different country, different, and the same job role is having a different salary range in a different culture, in a different organization. So whichever you are planning, you have to make it here, then research accordingly. You can make both research, so your mind have a different data points. Specialist skills. Which specialization skill set, soft or hard? you want to achieve, you have to research. Because without research, you will not want to do any kind of skill set improvement. I still remember that while shifting my career from development to design, I had different hard skills, but some of the soft skills I don't have. And I didn't have that time. So those skills were the people skill, dealing with the people, communication, presentation. So some of those skills I write it down. That these are some of the skills I must have. And then I got these skills, research, courses, taking the courses. Now when I'm talking about the courses, it's not about random videos. Make some dedicated courses. I will share some of the links with you guys there. What courses I am offering. And what courses, take some serious courses from Coursera, from Udemy, that having a proper course plan with a proper mentor who can guide you with the courses and train you with the proper services. So these are the research part. And this screen, goals and roadmaps. What milestone do you want it, aim for, and when? So there are 3 kinds of goals you have to write it down. And this is the core screen of the day, where you want to see that, okay, how I write on this is my own timeline, how I made a roadmap, UX career roadmap for myself. So there are 3 different kinds of goals. You have to plan it. Immediate goals, short-term goals, long-term goals. The immediate goals may range from days to months, or days to weeks, or months to months. The short-term goals range from 1 year to 2 years, the long-term 5 years to 10 years. It's my perception. You can make your customizable perceptions based on your understanding or your needs, whatever fits for you. In the short term, in the immediate goal, I take the tools and the processes, research. The short-term goals, I take elements of the UX strategy, and for long-term goals, I take the lead, design process, implementation for the organization, and training and mentorship to the other people. So immediate goals, if you see in this timeline, I saw that the tool understanding. So Figma, it could be XP, they could be Sketch, whatever feels you the best. So I prefer Figma, so here's this tool. And based on certain reasons, there is another video where I compare different tools. And why Figma is, there's a complete dedicated video. Then there is an immediate goal about follow some design school of thoughts. So to me, I found Normal Leeson Group, great articles on the UX. So I found the UX research there, and with the proper videos and explanation and practicalities with the proper templates. And then there is an IDEO design kit solution based on the process of human-centered design, how to deal with the right UX practices. And short-term goals, I implement or I draft the UX strategy and UX vision for the organizations, for mid-level and bigger organizations, within multi-departments, how one department work in encapsulation and how they work with the multidisciplinary, and provide the data which needed to other departments and get the data which needed to your department from data-centric, from machine learning or field intelligence department or whatever. Then there's a small, again, short-term goals. There's a understanding about the design patterns, design library, design guidelines, and design systems, and execution, how to use them to minify your workload and maximum the outcome to deal with the DevOps and understanding the design ops right now. In the long-term goal, there's a human-centered approach, understanding implementation, execution, and the cultural impact. What are the cultural, organizational, and environmental limitations you have? And you have to customize and mold based on those cultural impacts. Then infused UX in the organizations, in the cultures, in the society or in the community, and mentor them or get the mentorship. Talking about the community and the society, there was a very good session I had done yesterday with the people. You can have this guiding from my Facebook page. I will share the Facebook page link here as well, so you can get those how the community help you to better make your career and make you accountable for yourself or for others. So you can have this value. So it's a very good conversation there as well. And the last point is clear action points. Identify the clear action points. Whatever you are learning, the upskilling your hard skills. The hard skill is, again, a design, a process, a system, You have to think everything as an ecosystem and everything else is a part of a bigger machine. So you have to learn the hard skills. Figma understanding or tool understanding is a hard skill. Uh, Understanding the Miro as a collaborative tool, in Vision or Zeppelin, these are all the hard skills. Then there's soft skills, presentation, behavioral analysis, psychological impact of the users, getting the data points by talking with them, immersions, interviews, how to talk with them, what is the right or a good way. So these are some of these soft skills you have to understand. And the networking, importance of networking, community, society, how to get this networking and get maximum out of it. Networking don't mean that you have to sit with the people, get introduced, yourself introduction with others, and get others introduction. So it is about to get and give the benefit in the side wise. So these are the networking benefits. And shadowing an expert, talk with the expert, sit with them, see their to-dos, what they are doing, what challenges they are facing and what were faced in past, and what solution they come up with. And if you can come up with a different solution, having the maximum benefit to that problem, is another. So shadowing an expert, travel with their footsteps and making your own individuality in that manner. The last part is what's the next using this roadmap. So consider this is not the final term or this is what is the last thing and you have to stick with it, whatever you have to plan it. Think it like a wireframe. How you do as a design with a wireframe? You put a wireframe to speed up your process rather than limit yourself with the design challenge or development challenges. You have to quickly draft the wireframe using pen or paper. So you wireframe your plan, your UX career roadmap. Treat it like a wireframe. Review and iterate. Review throughout your UX journey. You have to keep reviewing it and iterate. Why you need to iteration? Because values and goals always change. Whenever you have the goal change or the value change, the iteration will be there. Right? Last point of this screen is you have to see the bigger picture. Keep watch it. In the bigger picture, you see what you started to do, what was your vision, what is your current vision, and what is your future vision, and what you have achieved, what you're gonna achieve. This is core components of your experience. Thank you very much, guys. This was my session. If you guys have any questions about it, I'm available.
Thank you, sir. And so I'm going to start the Q&A right now. And if you have any questions, you can post that there, and we'll have our speaker answer that.
So, sir, I have one question about UX design. What do you suggest entry level UX designer? Where to start? Either go to a startup or small companies, or as a freelancer is the best opportunity, or as a team. What do you suggest?
Okay, so responding to that question, so there was a very interesting book, Alice in Wonderland. And when Alice lost in some place which was alien to her, she wasn't able to find what she don't do. Simple thing. You are in a world which you don't know what to do. So she found there were different footsteps. One footstep leads her to one direction, the second footstep leads her to the second direction, the third and fourth. And she was totally confused which direction I should follow. The same thing happening to any person. She come to a new thing. They found a different footsteps. One person saying that this is the first step, and some person is saying just doing it. Third person is saying that first learn and then do it. The result or the final advice we got from Alice in Wonderland is whatever path you're going to achieve, you will reach your end destiny in the final speed. So whatever you come to opportunity, if you have some project, start with the project and learn sideways. If you have some startup, link with them. If you have some job, start with the job. If you have a freelance project, start with that. If you have nothing, now this question is more important. No job, no opportunity, no startup, no freelancing, yet you want to shift or start or jump into your career as a UX designer. And what to do? The first thing is start learning. And the very important part is start practicing. How to practice this. most of the designers which I've met, they're satisfied with the learning. It's called a knowledge curse. If you have lots of information and the knowledge that okay, this is UX immersion, this is how to do this activity, peer-to-peer questioning, and they have not practically failed into it. So it's a knowledge curse. You have to practice whatever you're learning. So you can see the drawbacks in that knowledge and the cultural limitations therefore. And now how to practice it? You can start with the dummy projects. Let me show you how I start with the dummy. I started within a well-known organization of Pakistan's a dummy project. But this is a project I'm doing. Whatever I was learning, I was doing that learning execution for that company. For my own, not for that company, but taking that name that, okay, if I would be a user, I will use this steps. This was an assumption. When I sit with the different users and make those assumptions in the hypothesis, so whatever I was learning, making the data points, and write down, document my process. Because with the passage of time, even there are chances that I will forget whatever I was learning during the process. So I was documenting the process. After documenting the process, I made this case study live and publish it and get the feedback and reviews. And believe you me, after 6 months, the same company hired me that you have done already too many UX research for us. So let's start with UX. So this is one of the tips for you guys. Even if they will not hire you, you can have this one project without doing any job, without having freelance project, but you implement or execute your project successfully. That's a response for you. Till we have any other question, let me
Yes.
talk user experience execution, how to execute the right UX. So the new people wanted to enter into the journey. You can understand the methodology or the mindset. So the mindset is you want to do something creative, imaginative, innovative, disruption. And the process could be a human-centered design to me. So let me explore this term, the human-centered design. So human-centered design is a process which is a human-centered. And if we admit it or understand it or not, it's automatically by default a human-centered. Whatever we are building for the humans. When we talk about the humans, we have to integrate the emotional senses, understand the emotional senses, and synchronize their emotional behaviors rather than only the analytical part. Though it is not a negate of the analytical part, but the emotional behaviors will be tend to our most business interaction, integrity, results for your value. And it's a myriad, not just a talkative stuff. And the core components of human-centered is the people, obviously human, a group of people, not just one person or people. A group of people will interact to your system or your organization in which manner, which problem you're trying to solve. You know what an interesting thing is? When I have some query to do the project, I will not take until unless I understood the problem. I always ask what the problem you're trying to solve and whether it's big enough that I want to be jump in. If the problem is not big, I lose my interest. So what problem they're trying? Sometimes there are the symptoms of the problems. If you have some problem, it's not a root problem; it's a symptom of problem. And if you solve the root problem, the symptoms will automatically disappear. So understanding the root problem, it's a different process or set of methods you have to identify the root problem. And then what are the possible solutions? And the possible solutions, are they validated by users or some technical guy? So you have to sit with the user if it is understandable to them, desirable to them. Then you have to make a prototype and design, show them, validate, iterate, getting the feedback, and then again read. So user interface or interaction design is just a small component of a bigger human-centered design, because in that part you have to understand the business, core values of the businesses, returnable values, finding, you have to put down the formulas, and then you have to execute the complete system, methods. Maybe I think we have different questions now.
Yes. So we do have some questions. The first one is from Noman Jamil. He is asking that I'm a T-shape designer having expertise in UI but beginner level knowledge of UX. What do you suggest will be a good way to start? This is his first question.
First question. Okay, so good way to start with the UX. You already mentioned that a beginner level of the UX. So I don't know what is the meaning of the beginner level, because sometimes it's a point of view. So, sometimes the person saying that he has a beginner level of UX design already knew many things. So to me, let's say if you know nothing or very few things about the UX, I would suggest you the two school of thoughts. Start with the school of thoughts. Norman Nielsen Group is one school of thought. David Kelly's IDEO is a second school of thoughts. And read thoroughly what they are saying, what their mindset is, how they approach to design. Talking about the books, there is a book, Never Eat Alone. It will get you the value of the community of the UX, understand how to learn the UX to the core, to the depth. The second book is, I would recommend, The Invisible Computer. It is written by the Don Norman. And the third is the UX for Everything. So see design patterns, design systems, UX methodologies, and there is a field guide PDF you will find from internet. So if it includes all the steps of the UX, you will understand the terminologies. Start with the terminologies, their execution ways, and then you have to execute the different projects which I already mentioned these times. So this is a response to your questions first.
Okay, so Noman, he says that he also likes learning about users and psychology, but the UX procedure like designing empathy maps, person's journey maps aren't something I'm really passionate about. So I'm confused. Which role suits best for me? Please enlighten on this.
So, Naman, I think there is a more personalization. If you mention that personas, journey map, you don't like it, now there again, I will ask the 5 questions you reason why you don't like it. And there must be an answer of this why. And whatever you responded, I will ask that question into why as well. So I will be better understanding your emotional understanding why you dislike these things. Because these activities are the root cause. You will be understanding the emotional frustration of the user with the current system. And then you will understand their empathical response, that where it should lead, and the opportunity to the next design. If you will omit this journey map, omit the personas, omit all of these research methodologies, basically you are omitting the problem space. So if without understanding the problem, and you're directly wanting to jump into the solution, maybe you're not, but it sounds like a non-doctor shadowing the doctor. Whenever you have to go to a specialist and saying that this is a problem I have, you will not immediately write down that, okay, you want this medicine, okay, what color you want? Or red color, okay, your choice is red, your choice is blue. So that is not going to happen in this way. They actually understand you, understand your problem, your symptoms, and then send you to some lab. So this is about the lab. The result from the lab comes, and then doctors start with the medication. Exactly the same thing happens in complex. The journey map and personas are identification of the problem space, so they can have the results in proper way and opportunities of the new features, which we understand it for the user, so they can properly validate only those features which users demand, not what a person, company, or technical guys think. Will answer the question.
So,
by the way, I will share my Calendly link in the chat, so you can see that Calendly link to. If you want a one-on-one session with me, so you can simply click there and ask me for a one-on-one session where I can respond to you on your personal level. So, but the question was really good, and I think that's why I respond here, so that other people got the answer.
Thank you. Okay, so we have another question from Tahmina Atef. She says, can you possibly shed some light on graphic design part of UX design or versus UX design, please?
Sure. Okay, so to me, the first part is I never understand the terminology of UX design, because to me it's a UX research, and the design is UI or interaction design. So the graphic design is a very smaller component. Like I already mentioned in my talk, that human-centered design is the process. User experience is a small component of that bigger process. And graphic design is the smallest module of that UX design. So let me give a more brief. if we draw a Venn diagram, so there would be three circles of the UX. Number one is business, second is technology, and third is aesthetics. So, as a UX designer, first you have to understand the business value. Second, you have to understand the technical values, technological limitations, technological sites. And the last part is design. But let me share with some example. If we are making some solution based on AR or VR, so they are available in the market. Now we can make a research based on what is needed to user, and it is sellable, so there's a business value, and we can implement based on this technological limitations. Or our technology allow us to do this solution. Let's say 15 years ago, if we have a solution like AR and AR still not exist, then you cannot come up with a technological solution for the same problem. So you have to understand the business first, then you have to understand the technology, and third part is you have this aesthetic values. So aesthetic values is 1 by 3. This is the percentage of the value of this graphic design. At the same time, when you talk about the desirability, if you design something that is not desirable to the user, but it's feasible for them, they can utilize, they can more integrate, they can more stay in your website or your app. But with the passage of time, they will leave your site because there is nothing coming. There is a charm. So it's a basically cash reverse situation that sometimes if you have a good design, but a bad UX, people will not come or not stay longer in your website. If you have a good UX, but a bad design, people will stay, but with the bad moves. So you have a basic mix of both. A good design. If you want to learn something, then you understand. You saw an article on the UX laws. So understand the Fitts law, understand the Jacobs law, understand the Miller's law. So you will understand that how they align the UX with the UI. And by the way, these laws are applicable for the civil engineering and the mechanical engineering, not only the designers. But you can relate it with the design very well. So this answer your question.
Okay, so we have another question from Hafiz Mohsin Fayaz. He says that he has almost done 40 projects as a freelance UI UX designer, but I didn't work on UX. I started working as a design and finished it. So how I can put UX in my career?
Like I mentioned, shadow the expert. There's a term in English, fake it and then make it. So you can start with the faking it. If you have a UI design project, so you should start with the learning or understanding what problem they are trying to solve. Rather than making your mind thinking of the pixel level alignment, grid, or layout, which is important for the UI design, but you have to start thinking what problem they are trying to solve, what problem Uber trying to solve. So which was the problem? Make some assumption or talk with your customer or your boss with what was the problem you're trying to solve. And then make your study and sit with the users, make the exercise. You already done the design part, but now start with the UX. Read the UX steps, sit with the people, and remake with the previous steps. So your design is there, but you have to align the UX research, problem space research values, implement it, and when you come with the design. Now, when you design based on this data, you will see a clear difference yourself, the existing design and your design made after the UX research. So that research, you can show it to your boss, your client. If they don't want that part and they said, okay, our earlier design is good, then there's a case study for you. So this is your execution of the UX design to start.
Okay, so Noman Jamil again, he says that UX is something that is very much, I'm not sure if it's a question or he's sharing something, but he says that UX is something that is very much overlooked in Pakistan and not really considered in most startup companies. They think it's a waste of time. However, they are practiced in big firms to which beginners don't have access to. So do this will have a potential in Pakistan also?
So, by the way, I disagree with this term. I was a UX designer 20 years back. No one understands this term either. So, what my experience is, I had 10 plus jobs, I have 10,000 plus projects, 1,000 plus customers. Obviously, most of them are from the outside of Pakistan, but my jobs are within Pakistan. And we are the UX studio in Pakistan, so we are not that big. We are dealing in the same manner. So how to do? The right question is how to involve the UX practices in Pakistani culture, where the companies don't want to be involved in UX and think that it's a waste of time. This is the right question. So when you come to the company, work with the company, and you don't want to follow the UX practices, so it's not, don't come with a complaint, don't come with a loser point of view, just come with a win-win situation. Do the design, whatever the companies wanted, and make 1 or 2 UX activities to them as a gift, to involve something to them, so they can see the UX value themselves. And when they come with the second project, involve 2 or 3 other steps into it. And then in your talks, always jump in and make your point valuable and accountable. Make your voice louder, not in the sense of your voice volume, but in the terms of your logics. So put some more weight into your logic. Why companies need UX? I think we should read and research on this part as well. Why companies need UX, especially in terms of businesses. Is the value of the UX, and show them the value of the business with your practicality in some product. So they see themselves the monetary results, and then talk. If we involve these UX practices, we will come this result and outcome. If they come this idea that if we involve the UX practices, our timelines will be very longer timelines, and we have a budget from this size to this size, and obviously their logical answer will be no. So you have to come within their time frame, within their budgets, start with few activities, and then start to convince them that one by one they include different UX executions values. And when you include the execution values, come up with the departments, the proper departments you have. And I personally knew many of the organizations, many in Pakistan, they have proper UX departments, they have proper UX processes. 20 companies, I personally build the UX department in 20 plus companies in Lahore myself. So now they have, all you have to do is the research. So there's just an assumption, and if even then it's true for many cases. So it's you, if you know the UX, then you should be the voice of the UXs. That's like me. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Mr. Ansari. And thank you, Figma, as well. So we are moving forward with creating attendees rooms. So these rooms, there will be 6 rooms consisting of 2 members. So our attendees and speaker, and we at Figma as well can interact and connect with each other and network with each other. So I'm gonna create rooms and let's speak there. Thank you, everyone. Yes, go ahead.
One is called Naman asked one question again. Your views on the Google UX certification. So normally Google come with the Google Ventures (GV). The Google Ventures at the design sprints. It's very particular for the products or the startups, not for the big organizations. So it's a good step, but it's a 5-day process normally, and their process is for the smaller organizations. It's for the specific kind of products, not for the or the service design. It's not for the service design by the way. So thank you very much, guys.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for your time.